Gold is coming out of the ground 25 miles west of Colorado Springs, from inside a dead volcano. From the highway, there's nothing. Pine trees, a casino billboard, a church. Nobody driving past gives it a thought. And it isn't new. A cowboy found this gold in 1890, sold his claim in a saloon, and died broke. During his lifetime alone, more than $250 million in gold came out of this district, back when gold sold for $20 an ounce. So how did the greatest gold camp on earth end up hidden in Colorado Springs' backyard? And how much is still down there? Colorado Springs sells itself on the Air Force Academy. Garden of the Gods, the view of Pikes Peak from the interstate. Gold does not come up. But this city was built with gold money, on gold ground, and the mine that did it never actually closed. It is running right now, under a new owner, with a permit application sitting on a county desk that could keep it running past 2050. That's the strange part, not that the gold was there, that it never left. Robert Miller Womack came west from Kentucky in 1876 and ended up working cattle on a ranch on the far side of Pikes Peak. He was not a geologist. He had almost no schooling. What he had was a conviction that there was gold in a ravine so unpromising the locals had already named it Poverty Gulch. He prospected it for 15 years. 15 years of digging holes between chores, hauling samples down to Colorado City, getting nothing back worth having. He told anyone who'd listen he was going to find a deposit. He drank while he told them. They called him Crazy Bob, and it was worse than that. 6 years earlier, promoters had salted a nearby hillside with gold filings and sold worthless shares to investors in Colorado Springs. The Mount Pisgah hoax burned people badly. So when a drunk cowboy came to town swearing there was gold on the west slope of Pikes Peak, he didn't just sound unbelievable. He sounded like the same con, running again. Then on October 20th, 1890, Womack sank a shaft into a hillside in Poverty Gulch and pulled out ore that assayed rich. He staked it as the El Paso lode. He rode into town firing a pistol in the air. By some accounts, he put his samples in a department store window on Tejon Street because he had no other way to be believed. It worked. A geologist named Ed de Laverne came out to look, so did a Prussian count. The claims started going in. In 1890, there were fewer than 500 people in the Cripple Creek area. 3 years later, there were 10,000, still arriving at about 500 a month. Bob Womack sold his claim for a few $100s. Accounts differ on whether it was 300 or 500, and on which saloon. They do not differ on the outcome. He never held another significant interest in the district he opened and died in 1909 in his sister's house. He is buried in Evergreen Cemetery in Colorado Springs, 4 miles from a neighborhood where the gold he found is still sitting in the soil. We're coming back to that. So why was it there at all? About 30 million years ago, this spot was a volcano, not a cone-shaped mountain, a diatreme. Gas-charged magma hit groundwater and blew a pipe of shattered rock straight up through the granite, then collapsed back in on itself. What's left is a bowl of volcanic rubble a few square miles across. You could walk from one edge of it to the other in an afternoon. That rubble is the reason for everything that followed. Superheated fluid rose through its cracks for millions of years, carrying gold up from depth and dropping it in the fractures as it cooled. The gold wasn't in a vein, it was in the wreckage. Which raises the question the first prospectors could not answer. If gold was everywhere in this rock, why couldn't anyone see it? One man did. Winfield Scott Stratton was a carpenter in Colorado City who had taken enough geology at the Colorado School of Mines to know what he was looking at. He believed Bob. On July 4, 1891, he staked a claim on Battle Mountain and called it the Independence. He sold it 8 years later for millions and died leaving a fortune estimated at $20 million. Same rock, same hills, same rush. The difference between the two men was that Stratton could recognize the ore. Most men couldn't. There was a chemical reason for that. The gold at Cripple Creek mostly isn't gold-colored. Here, it's chemically bound to an element called tellurium, forming minerals called calaverite and sylvanite. Tellurides. And a telluride doesn't glitter. It comes out of the ground as a dull, brassy, silver-gray crystal that a prospector who'd cut his teeth in California would throw straight on the waste pile. For the first years of the rush, that is exactly what happened. Men who knew placer gold, such as nuggets in a stream or flakes in a pan, walked over ore worth a fortune because it did not look like money. You had to roast it to get the gold out. Nobody knew that yet. Then, in November 1914, at the 1,200-foot level of the Crescent mine, miners broke through into a cavity. 15 feet wide, 26 feet high, 43 feet long. A room. And every surface of it, walls, ceiling, floor, was crusted in gold telluride crystals. They put armed guards on the entrance and let 2 men in at a time. That one cavity produced roughly 60,000 ounces of gold. One hole, the size of a 2-car garage on one level of one mine, in a district with hundreds. That was 1914. The mine is still open, and what's still hidden in it is bigger than everything that came out. Here is what's happening right now. The Cripple Creek and Victor mine, CC&V, is an active open-pit operation in Teller County at over 9,500 feet of elevation, and it's the only large-scale gold mine running in the state of Colorado. Essentially, all of Colorado's gold comes from this one hole in the ground. Nobody's tunneling anymore. Crews blast the rubble, haul it out, and stack it on lined pads where a cyanide solution trickles through and strips the gold from the rock. The owner is new. In December 2024, Newmont, the world's largest gold miner, agreed to sell CC&V to SSR Mining, a Denver-based company, for $100 million upfront and up to $175 million more in milestone payments. That deal closed on March 3, 2025. In November 2025, SSR published its first full mine plan for the property, an average of 141,000 ounces of gold a year from 2026 through 2028. To get that, they move about 85,000 tons of rock a day because the average grade is roughly 1 gram of gold for every 3 tons of mountain. And in May 2026, the mine named a new general manager, Lo Billingsley. He grew up in Colorado Springs. He studied geology at Colorado College. He started his career at Cripple Creek decades ago, left to work mines around the world, and came back to run this one. A Colorado Springs kid, running the gold mine Colorado Springs forgot it had. If you live on the west side of Colorado Springs, this next part is about the ground under your house. The ore never got refined at Cripple Creek. It went on to trains and down the mountain into town, because that's where the water and the coal and the rail were. The Golden Cycle Mill opened in 1905 in Colorado City, now the western edge of Colorado Springs. At its peak, it processed 1,500 tons of Cripple Creek ore a day, and over roughly 4 decades, it refined more than 480,000 pounds of gold on that one site. It closed in 1949. The gold left. The tailings stayed. For half a century, that hillside sat as one of the largest brownfield sites in the region. Then, under a cleanup plan approved by the state in 2003, crews consolidated and capped more than 15 million tons of tailings and metal-contaminated soil under an engineered barrier and built a neighborhood on top of it. It's called Gold Hill Mesa. Around 600 homes so far, plan to reach 1,200. Front porches, pocket parks, a view of Pikes Peak, 3 miles from downtown, and that pile underneath it is 12 stories deep in places, 15 million tons of crushed Cripple Creek ore. For decades, people asked the obvious question about it, because a 1940s mill did not get all the gold out. In 1939, a company set up a cyanide plant on another Cripple Creek tailings dump outside Colorado Springs for exactly that reason. There is gold beneath Colorado Springs, not in a mountain, under 600 front lawns, capped, sealed, and mown every Saturday. The gold never stayed in the mountains. It came down here and turned into a city, and then the city got built on the leftovers. Remember Stratton, the carpenter? His money went into Colorado Springs streetcars and a charitable home that still bears his name. Spencer Penrose took his Cripple Creek fortune and built the Broadmoor and the highway up Pikes Peak. Half the landmarks tourists photograph in this city were paid for with gold from a district most of them have never heard of, which brings us to the part that isn't history. So what does "could change everything" actually mean here? Not as a feeling, as a number. Start with what's proven. As of the 2025 technical report, CC&V holds about 2.8 million ounces of gold in proven and probable reserves. Gold the company has drilled, modeled, and committed to a mine plan. That's the floor. Here's the ceiling. Outside those reserves sit another 4.8 million ounces classified as measured and indicated, plus roughly 2 million more inferred. Nearly 7 million additional ounces known to be in that volcano and not yet in the plan. For comparison, that's more gold still in the ground than the entire district produced in all of Bob Womack's lifetime. 135 years of mining, and the biggest number in this story is the one nobody has dug yet. SSR's published plan runs 12 years, 2026 to 2036, at an estimated net present value of $824 million. But the company has said publicly that with resource conversion, the operation could run 26 years. 26 years from 2026 is 2052. That's 400 people with jobs, a county tax base, and a school district in a town that has already died twice. And it changes what exhausted means. This district was written off decades ago. The gold that's left is worth more than everything Bob Womack's generation pulled out, and the only thing that changed was the price and the machines. There are 100 districts like it, a ravine, a ranch hand named Poverty Gulch, opened by a man laughed out of every bar in Colorado Springs, still producing gold 160 years after he found it. And the reserve math behind that was run at $1,700 an ounce, a deliberately conservative price well below where gold has been trading recently. Every dollar above that number is upside on metal that's already been counted. That's what changes everything. Not a new discovery, a hidden one, reopened, with modern scale and modern prices applied to a gold deposit everyone assumed was finished 4 generations ago. And all of it depends on a permit. It's called Amendment 14. Newmont filed it on April 25, 2024, before the sale, and it asks for 189 million short tons of additional leach pad capacity, plus pit expansions at Globe Hill, East Crescent, and Elkton. Without that capacity, the mine runs out of places to put rock. With it, the 12-year plan becomes possible. Colorado's Division of Reclamation, Mining, and Safety classified it a complex application. It goes through the state first, then to the Teller County Commissioners, 3 elected officials in a county of about 26,000 people. Here's what that decision is worth. $87.5 million is payable to Newmont on final approval of Amendment 14. Another $87.5 million is tied to regulatory relief involving the Carlton Tunnel, a 6-mile drain bored under the district in the 1940s that still carries water out of the mountain today. It's $175 million in payments hanging on paperwork. The application went in over 2 years ago. As of mid-2026, it's still moving through review, with no final decision publicly announced. Somewhere in a county building in Teller County, Colorado, the next 26 years of American gold mining is a file on a desk. Drive Highway 24 west out of Colorado Springs today, and you will see exactly what you saw at the start of this video. Pine trees, a casino billboard, a church. Behind that ridge, 85,000 tons of rock move every day, 141,000 ounces of gold a year, 7 million more ounces in a collapsed volcano waiting on a permit. And back in town, 600 families living on top of what's left of the mill that processed it. Bob Womack died in 1909 convinced nobody had believed him. They still don't. They just drive past, because nothing hides better than something that has always been there. If you want more of these, the things sitting in plain sight that nobody's looking at, that's what this channel does.